So you're thinking about moving to Roswell, Georgia, but before you do, you want to know what it costs to live there. And I don't just mean the real estate, I mean everything. We're talking about housing, utilities, healthcare, childcare, fun, all that stuff. That's what we're going to cover in this video. So if you've got any interest in living here, you're going to want to stick around for that. And we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, well then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the market here in Atlanta, Georgia, or in this case, Roswell. I'm Denny, and the team and I get calls each and every day from people just like you looking for help in making the move to Atlanta, and we absolutely love it. So whether you move in next week, next month, or next year, then feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, even schedule a Zoom, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. As I mentioned in this video, we're going to go through the real estate numbers and all the other stuff. That way you can have a really good idea of what it's going to cost to live in Roswell, whether you're single or raising a family like I am. We want to give you as much information as possible. And so I'm going to start out with like the real estate data, and then if you stick around, we'll dive in to more of like the utilities and just the things that you're going to do on a daily basis, so you're going to be spending money on that maybe you have or haven't thought about. And so I use a couple of different resources, but they use like a weighted index in categories like overall grocery, health, housing, median home cost, utilities, transportation, miscellaneous, and I like to dig into the utilities and the miscellaneous from my personal perspective, because I have lived in Atlanta, New York, LA, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, and so I've lived it, and I would love to share that with you. So overall, Georgia, like relative to the entire country, Georgia's cost of living is a little bit less, but Atlanta is just a little bit more, and Roswell is just a little bit more than that. So a scale of 100 is average. Georgia is at like a 93, so it's a little bit cheaper. Atlanta is a 107, so it's a little bit more, and then Roswell is like at a 120. It's really similar if you looked at like Texas is a little bit less than the country, but Dallas is a little bit more, and like Frisco is a little bit more. And so just kind of give you an idea, I think Atlanta and Dallas, Fort Worth have a lot of similarities in terms of cost. The money goes different places, but the overall cost of living, whereas it's going to be significantly less than like an LA, a New York, or a Chicago. And so with regards to groceries specifically, Roswell is going to be in line with the rest of Atlanta, and those are going to be slightly more than the rest of the country, but nothing crazy. You got Kroger, Publix, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Aldi, all the different options, local markets. So your groceries depends on, if you're flying solo, maybe not too bad. If you're like me, I got a lot of mouths to feed. So groceries are an important part of our budget, because you got to have food, clothing, and shelter, right? And so groceries a little bit more, but healthcare is actually more affordable in Roswell than it is in a lot of other places in the country. On that scale of 100, it's down at like 91.8. And so access to hospitals and doctors and clinics and urgent care and how much it costs to get that treatment is going to be a little bit better than it is in maybe other parts of the country. Housing, on the other hand, Roswell is a booming suburb. It's one of the best places to live in Atlanta, and so the housing costs are going to be more expensive in Roswell than they are going to be in maybe some other less desirable suburbs. But with great jobs and schools and all that stuff, well, you would expect that you're going to pay a little bit more for housing, and it's gone up significantly in the last couple of years with the booming real estate market. But it will also continue to be one of the places that is more attractive, and the real estate values do continue to go up because it is long-term. It's got a great long-term outlook. And when I say long-term, who knows in 50 or 100 years, but the next 10 to 20 years look really bright for Roswell. And so it's no surprise to me that you're going to pay a little bit more for a nice home. But if you compare Roswell to LA, I'm just curious, let me look. Yeah, housing. So if normal is 100, Roswell's like a 170. LA is 298. It's almost 300. So I'm just curious. What's New York? New York, same thing. Houses 294. Chicago, I would think would be a little bit better than those, but still worse than Roswell. And yeah, same thing. So yeah, you're looking. I'm curious again. Now I'm gonna look at Dallas. Yeah. Very similar to Atlanta's and to Roswell. Frisco's 175, Roswell's 170. So that gives you an idea just versus like other major markets, if you live in close proximity to those or in a place that's kind of like those, what the housing market looks like in Roswell. And I do a Roswell vlog and pros and cons, and on the vlog, at the end of the vlog, I do a deep dive on the market, so you might want to check that out. In terms of the median home price, this is actually, if you've seen my other videos on Roswell, there's actually 3 Roswells. There's East Roswell, West Roswell, and Downtown Roswell. So check out that my map tour if you want to see how that's all laid out. But there's 2 primary zip codes, 30075 and 0076. And so the housing market is a little bit higher in 30075. And so the median home value there is 560, and in 76 is 470,000. So, and then the median across Atlanta is 355. So that shows you where the Roswell housing is in relationship to the rest of Atlanta and to the, maybe other areas of the country. You can get a lot of home for $500,000 in the Roswell area. But if you're just starting out and you're looking for like one of those $250,000 homes, your money's not going to go as far in Roswell as it will in maybe one of the other suburbs. Where to next? Utilities are a little bit interesting because electricity is mostly Georgia Power, but there are pockets of cities and municipalities where the local city or county or municipality is responsible for the electricity, the gas, the water, all of that stuff. Water is mostly city, but sometimes it could be gas and electricity too. But Georgia Power, for the most part, is your only option from electricity providers. Gas, on the other hand, you can pick your provider, and there's dozens of options, and you could pay significantly more if you don't get with the right carrier. So we actually have a concierge service that helps you with water, trash, gas, electricity, internet, all of those things. So I would love to be a resource and help you out with that. If you need it, just give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Happy to help you and connect you with people that can help you with that concierge service. But gas is one of those where you can pay significantly more if you don't get the right provider. Water, again, it's going to be your city. Trash is going to be, there's multiple options, but it's maybe $10, $15 a month, a couple $100 a year. And I think that you could pay monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever that is. Waste management's a big one. Advanced, I think, is a big one. Red Oak Sanitation Services and Places, that's who I use because they have a charity component. But that's trash. And then my gas bill, let me see. In the summer, electricity is higher because you're running your AC and it's hot, and your gas is lower. And then in the winter, it flip-flops. So my gas bill is, $40 to $50 on the low end, $200 to $300 on the high end. My electricity bill is $150 on the low end, $350 on the high end, but I'm in like your typical suburban homes, 20 years old. It's pretty energy efficient, but it wasn't built yesterday, but it wasn't built 70 years ago either. It's 3 stories, over 4,000 square feet, and so that just gives you a perspective of what my bills are and what that looks like. My water bill's maybe $40 or $50. I do, again, reminder, 4 kids, so if they're leaving doors open and running or leaving something on, like that could affect my bills. But that's what the utility landscape looks like. In terms of transportation, it is going to be more expensive in an area like Roswell than in a New York or Chicago because there's not access to public transportation. You can't hop on a bus or hop on a train. You have to have a car. You have to pay for gas and insurance and car payment and all of that stuff. And so transportation costs are going to be a little bit higher than some places you could get to. But I think it's a worthwhile price to pay for everything else that comes with living there. And then from a miscellaneous perspective, I made a list just of things. Income tax is better and lower here in Georgia than a lot of places. You're going to pay 1 to 5.75% in the state of Georgia. Sales tax is 7% plus whatever the local city or county, and so it could be 7 to like 9%. And then that's sales tax. Property tax is about 1%. In Fulton County, it's about 1%, which is where Roswell is at. In some surrounding counties, it could be as much as 1.2 or as low as 0.77. So if it's $500,000 home, think $5,000 a year. That's a guesstimation approximate, but that gives you an idea. Go to Texas, property taxes are through the roof, but there's no income tax. So there has to be revenue for the government from somewhere. Unfortunately, not all governments spend it wisely, so we all probably pay more taxes than we want to, but Georgia in a whole, and Roswell in particular, is fairly low relative to the rest of the country. And we talked about utilities and healthcare and groceries, gas. Oh, haircuts, like I pay, $20-25 for my due every 2 to 3 weeks. My wife's, going to visit a salon. And so she visits less, pays more. Gym memberships are going to be, $20 to $30 a month. Probably get it for 10, could pay 50 to 100, but $20-30 a month for an individual at a major big box gym. If you want one of those gyms that looks like a club, it's going to be a lot more expensive than that. That comes with pools and saunas and rock climbing walls and massage therapy and all of that. So if you're into that, that's probably $50 to $100 a month for an individual. And then there's your CrossFit, Orange Theory, F45, all of those things, and those memberships. Or you can go out in the woods and run for free, or the Big Creek Greenway comes through Roswell, and that's a great outdoor walking, biking, running, hiking trail. Restaurants, there's lots of great restaurants, the major national chains and some really good local restaurants. But I'd say, anywhere from like, $10 on the low end to $20, could be a lot more, could be less if you're going somewhere else. But I'd say, $13 to $17 for a dinner plate at most restaurants, $6 to $7 for a craft beer, $3 or $4 for a domestic beer, $5 or $6, maybe $7 for a latte if you like craft coffee, like I do or like my wife does. Youth sports, the rec, $100 to $200 a season. Competitive is going to start at like $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000 a year for competitive soccer, which is what a lot of my kids play. 1 day a week gymnastics for an hour, $100 a month, maybe a little bit less, 90, 95. 2, 3, 4 is going to be, you get a little discount for multiple days, but it's still going to be, $75 to $100 per class or per weekly class. And so that's, like I said, I'm paying $100 a month for each one of my kids that does gymnastics once a week. Add more days, it gets a little bit cheaper and multiple kids. Jiu-jitsu was like $130 for 3 classes a week for my 5-year-old boy. Trying to think of some other things in the youth sports. Yeah, adult league, for me might be $100 to $200 for a season, 2 or 3 seasons a year to play adult league sports. Tennis is a real big thing around. I don't play tennis, but Jason on my team, realtor I work with, is a longtime tennis pro and has a ton of insights if you need help in the tennis world and getting acclimated there. Be glad to connect you with him. But Alta is the big tennis league, and it's in all the, around all the neighbors, swim in the neighborhood. So that's what's going on, and there's lots of that in Roswell. And then last but not least would just be entertainment. And I'd say relative to most major markets is probably more affordable, but in line with similar markets of similar size in terms of just like concerts and music and, sporting events and venues and things of that nature. There's nothing like in Roswell. The Alpharetta Amphitheater is next to Roswell, but it's probably 20 or 30 minutes over to Braves, probably 30 to 40 minutes into the city, depending on traffic, but still plenty of stuff to do there locally as well. And It's just a really, in my opinion, Roswell is, in a lot of, depending on where you look, Roswell's at the top of a lot of, best places to live in Georgia, but it's definitely one of the top suburbs and a good value. I think that's it, but I could have missed something. If I did, and you know of it, drop it in the comments below if you've lived in Roswell or live in Roswell. This is meant to be a resource for the people that are watching, and we appreciate all of you that do watch, all of you that do comment, and all of our subscribers. If you haven't, subscribe below, tap the bell so that you get notified when we release new videos. You can stay up to date on the market here in Atlanta or in Roswell. And, if you are making the move, whether that's next week, next year, whenever, then give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd be glad to help you make a smooth move to Roswell. And until then, hopefully I see you around town or on the next episode.